extradition. The High Court has dismissed an emergency application filed by lawyers for Frederick Kumi, also known as Abu Trica, seeking to stay the execution of a decision following his extradition to the United States. The defense team, led by Oliver Bakavomao, had filed an ex parte motion asking the court to halt the extradition order pending the outcome of the appeal. However, the court presided over by Justice Abdul Basit rejected the application and directed the lawyers to serve the Attorney General's office before proceeding with the motion, which was originally scheduled to be heard on July 13. The defense had also sought to abridge time, arguing that Abu Trica could be extradited before the appeal is heard. This follows an earlier ruling on July 2 in which the High Court dismissed a habeas corpus application challenging the legality of Abu Trica's detention. Abu Trica is facing charges in the United States, including conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering in connection with an alleged $8 million romance scam targeting elderly victims. He faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted. Lord Edwasari is my colleague and our court affairs correspondent. He joins us live on the line. Lord, what more can you tell us about the latest twist to this case?
Well, Beatrice, and so essentially, lawyers of Frederick Kumi, also known as Abu Trica, sought to get an emergency stay of execution order, which essentially would stay the hand of the prosecution or the state from extraditing Abu Trica to the United States. Now, the documents that they had filed had the hearing date of 13th July, but then they moved their application today in court, an ex parte one, essentially arguing that 13th July is a bit of a stretch because there's a possibility that the state could extradite Abu Trica before then. And so Oliver Bakavomao, the lead counsel for Abu Trica, he moved that motion to stay the execution order, but the presiding judge in the matter dismissed the indicating that because the case has state interest, the defense lawyers ought to have served the Attorney General. Now, the case was stood down for a bit, and then the judge directed them to serve the prosecution or the Attorney General's office. Now, Oliver indicated that indeed they had served the office of the Attorney General and essentially had also filed for an abridgment of time. And so the court directed that they show proof of service. Now, when that was done, Oliver then moved another application to abridge the time in order for him to properly move the motion for the stay of execution order and then subsequently an appeal against the High Court's judgment on July 2nd. So this was granted. So the case has now been abridged or adjourned to July 9th, next week, Monday, effectively, for the lawyers of Abu Trica to move their application. And so they're actually hoping that they can move their motion to stay the order of the court and essentially appeal the decision before the state extradite Abu Trica.
All right, Lord Edwasari, our court affairs correspondent, thank you very much for joining us.